Well, welcome to Coffee with Vern, a time where we have intentional conversations about the gospel and we desire to talk about theological truth. Thanks for joining us. We hope you can learn and grow and be fed through this. All right. Well, hey, Boker Tov. Boker Tov. Boker Tov. How you doing, Jesse?
I'm good. How are you doing? How you doing?
Don't ask me that question. I'm maintaining.
I ask because I already know.
Yeah, I'm thriving. More of surviving. Good show, by the way, Survivor. But how are you? Your hair is a different texture. Texture today.
Yeah, I worked on a VBS project this morning.
Yeah.
And just decided to come straight into work. Threw the hat on.
I can vibe with this college dorm, woke up late for class look. I like it. Well, brother Peter is in the house, everyone. How you doing, Peter?
Yeah. I'm good.
Yes. So we've got, all right, now.
It's a big audience today.
That's huge. It's a mega. I've got to confess, I don't really know your last name. Is it Johnston or Johnson?
Yeah, there is a T.
Okay, so it's like my Johnstons.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've got some Johnstons in the youth, so that's easy to remember then. I don't know who was said yesterday, and I thought it was Johnston, and then I second-guessed myself. But we've got Peter Johnston in the house.
Well, see, for how many weeks now,
oh, yeah,
we'll confess something to you.
Hey, we got Pastor Larry in the house. Pastor Larry.
Oh, no, not that.
Oh.
For the past 2 weeks, we've been referring to you as Peter from Narnia.
Peter, watch out for the wicked witch.
We used to pass by your office and say, for Narnia.
Yes, before you got here, we must confess.
Hope that's okay.
Yeah, Peter with a British accent, that's been a common nickname. So, and I'll answer to Jaws as well.
Jaws.
So when I worked at Camp Kaleo, it's a Georgia Baptist Boys Camp, you get a camp name when you work there.
Jaws.
And that was my camp name.
That's impressive.
That's pretty, yeah, I've never been given a good camp name.
Good nickname? Yeah, me neither.
I always get the stupid ones like Bowl Cut. So, yeah. Well,
it's so very descriptive.
Pizza and Jaws.
And well, it's a whole thing. Like like during pre-camp, they'll like shout out they call it your mother given name. They would shout out Peter, and you're not supposed to turn, like you're not supposed to react or turn.
Your mother given name. I love that. Man, I went to Camp Kaleo one time, and I wish I would have went back. I've heard great things. 'Cause you worked there how long?
2 summers.
Okay.
06 and 07.
Awesome. 06 and 07. What was I doing back in 06? I was 10 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, I was thriving. 4th grade. Yeah. Sorry, I make both of y'all feel a little bit old
10
for a minute.
years old. Yeah, that was my.
Because y'all are the same age.
I think Peter's a year younger than me.
Yeah, I'm 33.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Somewhere. So you're 9 years. He's a decade. He's old. You old fart.
Yeah, when you were 10, I was my freshman year in college.
Look at that. Oh, good times.
06.
But we got Peter in the house. And this has been a couple weeks coming. This has been exciting. Originally, we were supposed to have the OG of OGs, PL, Pastor Larry, in here. But he's coming on next week. We had to flip-flop around, and we had Peter scheduled for next week. So we just said, hey, Peter, you ready? And my man was ready.
He was ready.
I'm excited. That's what mattered to me. You were ready.
Well, it was like when we were exploring the church, like I listened to Coffee with Vern all the way back to like Victorious Reagan.
Nice.
This man is an OG.
I know.
I appreciate that.
And I remember during the interview process, I said, even if I don't get the job, I'll probably still continue to listen.
What?
That's awesome.
My heart.
Yep.
Well, and I think you've kind of gathered and being in the office with us. This is how we act all the time.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, he is now sandwiched between me and James.
And I feel a little bit bad for you, but I also you probably have like one of the best seats too, because you just get to hear the randomness. And you've been adding into the randomness, which has been amazing.
Absolutely.
I love the fact that you have now come in on what we were doing yesterday and have added your 2 cents worth. The only thing I didn't like, I'm going to throw this out there, is he didn't like my yellow color.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And you're admitting it. You just immediately just said, yes, that's not cool. But it's been awesome getting.
You saying I admitted that it was not good?
No, him.
I was about to say.
He said yes immediately. I was like, what? So, but I'm just thankful, dude, that you have like come in and you have made yourself a bro. Like we have made you a bro and you've made yourself a bro immediately. We hit it off. It's been awesome. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But we've got Peter in the house and I'm excited. I was looking forward to this episode next week and Pastor Larry this week or vice versa, just because it's the last two on staff to get in here, first of all, and we finish out our staff interviews. But also, Pastor Larry, we've known, it's kind of funny, it's the complete opposites. We are learning to get to know you. You're the freshest and the newest. I can officially say I'm not anymore.
That's right.
That feels good. And Pastor Larry is the OG.
Right.
Who we have known the longest. So those stories are going to be quite funny. And then we're getting to learn about you, and I've got a whole list. I'm excited. There's one in particular I'm excited for. But all right, Peter, so let's get into it. Let's share with the people of West Stakers and then our Coffeewood Vern folk all about who Peter Johnston is. So, all right, you are 33. Now tell us a little bit about where you grew up. Where are you originally from?
So I grew up in Hampton, Georgia, which is on the south side of Atlanta.
Okay.
If you're a NASCAR fan, like I grew up a couple miles away from the Atlanta Motor Speedway. So grew up there. Like a lot of like you and a lot of your listeners, like I came to faith young age. When we growing up, it was never a question of are we going to church. It was more of a question, when are we leaving church?
Oh yeah,
that's right.
So got saved when I was in first grade, got baptized, and church was just a huge part of our family's life. And that was like my main social structure was church stuff. But grew up in Hampton, and then and I started to feel a call to ministry towards the end of high school, like when I was like around a junior or senior. I still had a lot of people encourage me to go to a regular state school. So I went to Georgia Southern. I've got one older brother. He's 3 years older, and so he was already at Georgia Southern. So went to Georgia Southern, and then so the first day I was there, when I moved in, my brother, he took me to lunch at a place called Lee's. It's this hole-in-the-wall country food place.
I've heard of it.
And so and that's where I met my now current wife, Maudie. And the thing was, my brother, he was a huge prankster in college, and me and my brother looked nothing alike. He's a good bit shorter. I'm a lot more broad chested. I can grow a thicker beard. He's got lighter hair.
I can't grow a beard.
And so when he introduced everyone, this is my brother, no one believed him. And both Maudie and I can specifically remember this, where like she flat out did not believe I was his brother. And I remember her saying it. But anyway, so that was when I first met her. But went to Georgia Southern, had a good 4 years there, or 4.5 years. Had a good time, active in BCM. And then when I graduated from Georgia Southern, I then was an intern at a church. It was through the North American Mission Board, through NAM. I was an intern at a church out in California for 6 months in Lake Tahoe.
I didn't know that.
So that was really fun. We got paid nothing. But a fun fringe benefit was that the church had a large ski ministry. And so we got to go out and do church services on top of ski runs on Sundays. So that was a really nice fringe benefit.
Lake Tahoe's beautiful too.
Yeah, so I was in Lake Tahoe for just 6 months, and then I started at Hampton First Baptist. While I was in California, the pastor had talked to me about coming out and serving on their staff. So then I was at Hampton for about 5 years as their children's pastor, and then went out to Baton Rouge for 3 years. I was the children's pastor at Zor Baptist Church for 3 years, and then I was at First Baptist Albany as their children's pastor for about 3 years. And now I'm here in Augusta.
Look at that, man. Now Hampton, when you worked at Hampton, that's your home church?
So we joined Hampton when I was a junior in high school.
Okay.
So I was there for about 1.5 years before I went off to college. It was a weird thing, like, because my parents stayed. Right. So like when I came back, a lot of people, like in their minds, like I'd been there forever, but like I'd really only been there for about a year before I went to college and then came back.
That's cool. Have that kind of root, a church that you were a part of and got called to be. Very similar to me. That's awesome. I didn't know that. I didn't even know you went out to California. I had missed that in all of the conversations we had, because I would love to go out to Lake Tahoe. Out west is where I want to be.
It was really fun. The guy that would rent us the skis, because we worked at the church, he never charged us for rentals, even if we wanted to ski on our free time.
You know how expensive skiing is too. Yeah.
We were just like, we're one of the missionaries, and he'd be like, okay, do you just give us free skis?
Man.
Dude,
And out there, it was fun. Like, I did a lot of babysitting out there. And like a lot of times they would just pay you in a lift ticket instead of paying.
the things we miss down here in the suburb culture.
But I will say, after living in Lake Tahoe, I'd rather sweat than shiver. I'd rather live in a hot climate than a cold climate.
I agree with that.
I'm in the opposite. I am. I love the cold. I really do. I love wearing jackets.
I mean, you're in a hoodie today.
I am. It was 55 degrees when I walked out at 6:30.
So I've also learned the corner of the building where we are gets very cold.
It's freezing. That's why both me and James have a little space heater.
But see, as we discussed, you have 2 vents in your office.
Yeah. I do too, but mine's bigger.
And my one is hanging by a thread.
You could always go up in that really sketchy crawl space and try to fix it.
There's a body up there.
It's right above your desk.
Someone's going to come flying out, and I don't want to know.
Well, we'll go investigate.
No.
Yep, we'll open it.
But yeah, it is cold over there. So, yes, that's the only cold environment you'll get because here it comes, the muggy, sweaty, hotty, swamp-like, disgusting, gross, grotesque, disturbing, every adjective weather of Augusta, Georgia.
Yeah.
It's
but
coming.
still, I mean, like compared to Baton Rouge to me was more humid, and they're like, at least in Georgia, like when the sun sets, it starts to cool down, but it'd be midnight and still 90 degrees.
Yeah,
I didn't think about that.
Like it was a lot more muggy there, and then also in Albany, it was hot, and you also had gnats.
Ooh, yeah,
we got skeeters.
But still, I'd rather have mosquitoes than gnats.
No,
Have you ever experienced Southwest Georgia gnats?
I have because I went to some camps down there. Now they're awful. Yeah. You talking the ones that bite?
Well, even if they don't bite, just flat out being annoying.
I do hate them up in my eyes and all, but I hate mosquito bites.
Yeah,
I hate them.
They were having like a mosquito pandemic in India the last time I went.
See another.
Well, did you know I did not see like there were signs everywhere all over the road about mosquitoes and stuff like that. I didn't see a single mosquito.
No.
But talking about mugginess,
protection over you.
Now, India was hot, but it was dry. So it was just a dry heat.
Yeah.
And then I got used to it. As soon as I stepped foot off the plane in Atlanta, I felt like my clothes had gone through the washing machine. Like it was an instant, just muggy wet. It's awful.
Well, that was us when we went out to Utah. I mean, it was dry.
Yeah.
And then came back. It's like, ugh, this is gross. Other shirt, and I've only been outside 5 minutes.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. I didn't even know all that in your experience, like with ministry in different places. I knew about Zor. I knew about Hampton and Albany, but I did not know a lot about Baton Rouge. Is that where Zor was?
Yeah, Baton Rouge.
Okay, but I had no idea about Lake Tahoe because that's one of my bucket list places. Like I've always wanted to go is Lake Tahoe.
Yeah.
So, well, dope. So shall we get into it? Now hold on. You did talk about Maddie. Y'all have an interesting marriage experience in the far as the wedding.
Still even so, we first met. She's a couple years older than I am. She's 2 years older than me. And so we first met at Georgia Southern. And we both admit, like, we would have never worked in college.
Right.
We were very different people then. And so, when she graduated, she stayed in Statesboro. She's originally from Millen, which is about halfway between Augusta and
there ain't
Statesboro.
Nothing in Millen.
So, but except her mother is the youngest of 14.
Oh,
and so driving around Millen, it's like, oh, well, my uncle owns that gas station. I've got a cousin that works
so
there.
Everything that's in Millen is Maddie's family.
So she stayed in Statesboro. She became a teacher there. And then I kind of was a tumbleweed. Went back to Atlanta, Baton Rouge, Albany. But when I moved back to Georgia, so Maddie and my brother's wife, my sister-in-law, they were very good friends in college. They were roommates for a year. Maddie was actually in my brother's wedding as my sister-in-law's one of her bridesmaids. So she was very good friends with my brother and sister-in-law. When I lived in Louisiana, she probably saw my niece more than I did during those 3 years because she would still go up and see them. And so, but when I moved back to Georgia, my sister-in-law, one night, they were just talking on the phone, Maddie and my sister-in-law, and she was saying, I've always and Maddie had just gotten back from a really bad date.
Right.
And she's like, I've always in the back of my head, I thought you and Peter could make a good couple. And so, so they talked about it. At first, Maddie didn't, because also we were very different people in college, but she talked to my brother talked to me. And then, so then so then I asked her out, and so Albany, once again, she lived in Statesboro and I was in Albany, which is about 3 hours drive. Dang. But we dated long distance for that time. So I proposed in January of 2020. And originally we had once again, just her body's family alone was, hundreds of people. Our original guest list was just over 400. And so, but we'd already within about a month we'd secured venue and started getting catering, everything lined up. But then like February, we'd start kind of hear about this thing with COVID. But then in March everything just shut down, and so we ended up having a COVID wedding. We whittled down our 400 guest list to just 13 people.
Cool, man.
Holy cow.
And we were her uncle has a little vacation cabin in Millen, but we got married on that back deck, and it was just 13 of us, and yep.
Look at that. And so coming up on 1 year?
So Cinco de Mayo, we our first date we had Mexican, and we both like Mexican, and it's also just a memorable date. But yeah, Cinco de Mayo will be our 1 year.
Look at that. Wow. So coming up on 1 year. That's awesome. Dude, I can only imagine the stress of figuring out a wedding.
But I'll tell you, small weddings, they have to be nice, because I remember all the people at our wedding. But I mean, the wedding is not for them anyways. It's for you guys.
I'm to the point, just put me at a courthouse.
Well, but that's what I'm saying, right? I mean, like, we were up on the stage. I don't remember anybody except for
a little bit because I was there, I think.
I don't know.
I might have been. I've been to so many different ones.
My point is, like, you just remember you and your soon-to-be spouse. Like, I don't remember anybody else that was there. I don't remember their reactions or anything like that. It's a very personal one-on-one moment. And so, sometimes I look back and I'm like, man, that was unnecessarily large.
Well, and we'd like to do a vow renewal at some point. If we hadn't have moved, we probably would try to do something this summer, but still just trying to get settled here in Augusta. But eventually we want to do some sort of vow renewal and invite everyone and have that kind of experience. And Marty really wants to wear a red dress again.
So, for celebration, no, I think about all the money that goes in a wedding. I want to puke.
Yeah, so it was things. It was nice. The
amount of
wedding
money saved.
Yeah, because people still gave us money for the wedding.
Right.
We've been able to put that. It was nice to be able to put a nice down payment down to the house here.
You just throw that in the bank.
Yeah.
What was it? I don't remember what used to be on TLC. It wasn't CS Address. It was something about weddings. When you're a kid, you just watch whatever is on TV with whoever's watching it. My parents or whatnot, my mom. I think it was my sister. I don't remember. But needless to say, they were talking about like they'd spend $100,000 on a wedding.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's what some of my friends' student debt is. I ain't paying $100,000. You know what I can get with $100,000? A lot. I can get my 6-inch lifted F250 straight pipe.
I like how you're thinking about car stuff and not house things.
I was just making sure you knew where my priorities are.
I know.
It was great. One time I was a part of a $80,000 wedding. They spent $6,000 on flowers alone.
Dog, son.
It was a crazy wedding.
I'm good.
To what point that's a whole nother soapbox. We'll get off that.
Yeah. Woo. But anyways, so look at that. Dude, you've had a crazy last year then, honestly. I just put that into perspective. New job, new wife, crazy. New house, all of that.
Yeah.
Wow. So, but hey, also you get to see God's hand in it. God's faithfulness. Absolutely. So, well, now is the time. So my man Peter sent me some, because I told him, it's like, if you got any things you want to like specifically talk about, we'll talk about them.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I'll work up some questions, but our guys on staff, we have so many different stories.
Yeah.
Like I do, like, you've played softball with Josh, and you had backs, and like you play music with Rob, but like we don't really have that same.
Yeah.
So
I appreciate this. We're gonna now have that. We're going to have this as one of our foundational points in our friendship, these conversations. But I have quite a few things. Let's start off easy, though. So one thing that you shared when you came for your interview was that you had a love for coffee, but more so a coffee mug love, would you say, a collection?
Yes, so I collect coffee mugs. I started it when I moved to Baton Rouge.
Okay.
And last time I counted, This was when Maddie moved in with me in Albany. We had to, as she brought some of her kitchen stuff, I had to, rearrange some things. So when I counted that, this was a couple months ago.
Oh, man.
Here it is.
I'm ready.
Drum roll.
I had 130 mugs. Because it's been one of those things that now people know I collect them, so I get a lot of them as gifts.
Where are these things at?
So I'm debating about maybe starting a blog and doing like a mug a week.
Please do it.
I'd read it. Do a podcast. I'd read it.
Because it is like I've gotten a mug. Like every time I've gone somewhere, I've gotten a mug.
Dude,
man.
And
may I ask where these things are going to be or are at in your house currently?
So we did designate one cabinet for the mugs, but still, I think only half of them have fit. I think I still have 2 more boxes.
That's impressive.
How many boxes of mugs did you have?
I think I had at least 4 boxes. And
man.
like still, even within that cabinet, there's shelf dividers on 2 of the shelves, so you can stack them.
Wow, bro!
You need to go all the way to 360. You have one a day.
You need to get a wall. You just get a wall.
Oh yeah.
What even since I've come on staff, like you gave me a way mug, and one of the guys gave me one of the cafe.
Cornerstone Cafe mugs.
The Cornerstone Cafe
going
mugs.
Way back.
Dude, I used to go snag one when I was interning here. I'd go find one of those to make some coffee in every day.
Place.
Wow. So you've got 2 already added to your collection now.
And it's probably I'd say at least a third were probably gifts. So
that's some. Oh, so I collect coffee cups, but I ain't nowhere close to that, bro. Because my mom would kill me.
You got 2 at Stafford Tree, didn't you, or just 1?
I just got 1. From
okay.
Whatever that
Dillard
store
House
was.
76 Outdoors.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I love that place. Yeah, no, I have a collection too. So my collection though is built around coffee shops. So anytime I go to a shop, I get a cup if they sell one.
Yeah, I've got a ton from.
I would love to see these.
We drove through Augusta this past Thanksgiving. We went to Biltmore just as a vacation, Maddie and I, and it was downtown Cafe Bona.
It's my place. Did you get a mug from Bona?
Yeah.
I don't have a mug from Bona. That's one of the few places I don't have one from, but I do love Bona. And you need to get you one from Ubora because you are sipping on some Ubora coffee.
Do you want to take a guess at how many coffee mugs I own?
Yes. 0.
Incorrect.
2?
Also incorrect.
I have no idea then.
1.
Oh.
It is? Wait, no, not true. 2, you're right. 1 is Michelangelo and 1 is Batman. And they both serve as hot chocolate.
I was about to say, they don't serve as coffee
hot chocolate mugs.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, growing up, my mom also collected coffee mugs, and so we always had a ton. And so, we just had so many. Like, I would just drink, Coke or Sprite out of a coffee mug because we had so many.
Yeah, we did. I did that when I was a kid, and I didn't like coffee.
Yeah.
But
Ellie and Chloe have little baby ones that match one of Allison's big ones, and they just drink milk or orange juice out of it.
I understand. So the coffee cup collection,
yeah.
I will be interested to see after you, let's see, I'm trying to think. After you spend some time here in Augusta, and if you ever visit Greenville, how many you will exceed to, because between the 2 places, I have gotten close to at least 15 mugs. So should be interesting. But I love that. So we have a love for coffee. That's one thing we have in common. If I ever have 100, was it 30?
That's the last time I counted.
If I ever had 130 mugs, I would be told to get out. Like my mom, love you, Mom. But I like to just leave my mugs in different places. I don't like them collecting up on my desk, my quiet time spot.
I know, that's why I pulled these 2 off of the table this morning.
But Janice will wash them, and then they always find a way back to my quiet time spot. I'm like, hold on now, there's not room for my Bible. This is going to have to go. So I just go hide them in different spots and see if she can find them.
That's why you need your own house, so you can have your own book space and your own coffee mug display.
I'm enjoying the not paying rent. Thanks. Just throwing that out there. But, all right, so we got a coffee cup collection. All right, let's see. You've crossed both the Atlantic and the Pacific Oceans, which I have done neither because I'm terrified to. So do share with this. Are these mission trips?
Well, So my dad, before my dad met my mom, he lived in Australia for 7 years. And so when we had a family member pass, and some of her inheritance we used to, Dad wanted to take the whole family to see Australia. So that was the summer after sixth grade. Jealous. It was in middle school. And so so Dad took us and we spent 2 weeks in Australia one summer. That's awesome. And it was nice because like he still had kept in touch. I mean, he lived there for 7 years. He kept in touch with a lot of friends. And he still, he was still good enough. He could drive. Right. So that's crossed the Atlantic then. And then I've been on 2 mission trips to Europe. In college, we did spend a couple days in England, Ireland, and Wales. And then when I was at Hampton, and that's where in addition to coffee, also I do love when I went on that mission trip, I grew to love hot tea, and so I've got 4 teapots.
You won't get me on that one, sorry.
But because that was the one free thing in hostels was that all of them would have tea.
Yeah.
But so I went in mission trip college to Great Britain, and then when I was at Hampton, we did a mission trip to Romania. And we had a very long partnership with a missionary out there. But it was when I went, for years they'd gone in the summers, but I went on the first winter trip they did. It was at the very end of December. Okay. So and we actually, part of what we did, we get to help pass out some of the Operation Christmas Child boxes.
Ooh, that's fun.
Wow, that'd be a top awesome. 5 moment, definitely, because the closest thing we've ever gotten to that is just being able to pack them in the factories. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Wow. So, dude, I envy the England trip. I want to go to Europe so bad so I can see some Reformation history.
Well, we almost went to Ireland.
I want to go to Scotland.
Almost.
I got to go see my boy John Knox.
When our BCM, they were called road rules trips, and so I didn't know where I was going. Like just a day before, like about a month before we left, our parents got a copy of our itinerary, but it was only a day before I left we found out we were going to, let's see. No, it was like the day before we got to we left from Atlanta and we found out we were flying into England, but it wasn't before we landed. We actually found out we were just flying into England, but we were going to drive to Wales. Yeah. But we didn't know what we were doing until that morning, because part of the mission trip was also just learning to live by faith. And
I wouldn't be going on that one. Just telling you right now.
You keep saying things you're not going to do.
I would like to have an itinerary.
God's sitting here thinking,
yeah, I didn't know until before we got to the airport that I was going. We knew we were going to Europe, but we had no idea in Europe where we were going to.
No. I want to at least know the country I'm going. That's all.
Yeah.
I'm not okay with just a continent. I need to know what country I'm in. Right.
That's like when we got off of the airport in New Delhi. We didn't have a driver. And so we all separated, and we went into these, I think we separated into 5 separate taxis that we had no clue.
Oh, wow.
And only one of them had Bala Singh in it. And another one had his brother-in-law in it. And all the rest of us were kind of up the creek hoping we were going to the right place.
My list, reasons not to go to India. Food.
We all got there.
Stomach problems.
We got there.
Mosquito infestation.
A guy did try and take my luggage.
The flight.
There were no mosquitoes. Not that I saw.
Not riding in the same taxi as our brother. No.
A guy did try and take my luggage.
Okay, another reason. No.
But I have my luggage. I got to the hotel. There were no mosquitoes. I got home.
Let's not forget whatever giant cockroaches or whatever it was, or rats.
Both.
No. So yes, appreciate that, Peter. You can take my spot, buddy. Last time I checked, the youth pastor line doesn't say anything about going to India.
Well, I do. When I had one of my first video interviews with Josh and Malone, they said. They were very clear. It is expected if you were hired that you would go on the India mission trip.
Mm-hmm. AKA, I'm in the youth.
And it's still like my mom's been to India 3 times, and so I've always been interested in going after hearing her stories.
That's God's sovereign hand right there. Bro.
It is amazing. The travel I don't like, but once you get there, it is absolutely amazing.
I believe it, but definitely God's got his calling on you for it, buddy. I'm going to affirm that one. All right, let's get into this one because this is the one I want to really hit, and this is probably how we'll transition and close out. But let's close out with a high note, right? So the time I took 45 church kids to a strip club.
So I was it was when I was working at Hampton, and so there was a summer we didn't have a youth minister, and our teenagers were going to camp. They were going to Centrifuge up in Union. And we had a lay leader who was in charge of the trip, who was going to be the group leader. But his work schedule about 2 weeks before they were supposed to leave changed, and he couldn't go. And because it just was kind of last minute, they really wanted a staff member to go and be the group leader. So they asked me to go, and so I volunteered to go. Now, we had a very, very unreliable church bus. They had gotten stranded in Louisiana before, and they'd had all sorts of issues. And I was very worried that that was going to happen to us as well. But we checked out our bus, and everything was good, except the morning. It was like I think our goal was like to be out, like be on the road by like 7. But like everyone got there early. We're all packed up. Well, then we go to crank the bus, and it just wouldn't crank. And we that morning chartered a bus, called the company, sent a bus. We were all excited. Oh, well, this is going to be an easy trip. We've got a charter bus. You know, we won't have any issues like we've had before. Well, we had a great week at camp. We were driving through, so we were coming home. We were driving through Chattanooga. Well, one of the tires blew.
Oh, gosh.
And so the bus driver, we're on the interstate, and he got off on the first exit, but the first parking lot that was large enough for the charter bus was
a strip club.
Wow. And so here I was with a bus. It was early. It was like 3 or 4, so it wasn't open. There wasn't.
Praise the Lord.
Yeah.
There were people going.
God's sovereignty.
But I mean, immediately just kids are taking pictures.
Oh, no. Okay, so how did that conversation go with the parents?
Well, it's
Or the pastor.
And both the pastor and the music minister had kids on the trip.
Oh.
But it's like, still, I mean, like, it was one of those things of what else do you do? I mean, I'm certainly glad he didn't pull off like on the side of the interstate. Like we at least got to a parking lot, but he immediately called his company and they were going to send out a company to replace the tire, but they wanted like $500 cash as a deposit.
That's sketchy.
And so like, he's like, I need to get to an ATM. So there still was like 5 tires on the bus. Like it was still drivable. And so like I Googled the closest ATM at this gas station, but like there was literally drug deals going out in front of this gas station. But like and like his card wasn't working. And so one of my volunteers overheard. So she used her card to get $500. And still we were just this horrible area. And I was like, it was getting later. I was like, we gotta find someplace to camp out and eat. So there was a brand new Crystals. It had been open like for a week or a month. It was brand new Crystals. And so we got there, the tire people came, they changed the tire. They were really quick. They were really good. And so then we got back on the road and I think it only had like 2 or 3 hours, on the trip, but it was, wow. But that's one of the things they don't train you for in seminary.
Yeah.
What to do when your bus breaks down.
Or eating at Crystals. I have to confess, I have never eaten Crystals and never planned
You're
on it.
You're not missing anything.
Okay, just making sure.
I think that's the only time I've ever eaten there.
Yeah,
either.
There's a reason there's only one in Augusta.
Yeah, you're really not missing anything.
Wow. Yeah, there's certain things they don't train you for. Ever. And so, wow. I don't know what I would have done if that was me and my kids had their phones and they're taking pictures of where we are parked at. I can hear it right now. My dear Pastor Larry, well, James, where are y'all at? Y'all okay? No, Pastor, I'm panicking.
And
I am not okay.
I think I was only in ministry about 2 years at that point.
Oh, man.
And it was crazy when I went to Baton Rouge. Something similar. Once again, this happened both times were the week after VBS. But in Baton Rouge one summer, we had a youth minister, but he was in the process of adopting a kid, and they're twins actually. But the mom went into labor early, and they were supposed to go to camp the week after VBS. But then like she went into labor early, and so and they were adopting from this woman in Florida, and he just immediately left. He and his wife left, and so I then took the kids to camp.
Dude, this has happened way too much for you. But anyways, wow. Well, I hope that you have enjoyed getting to know a little bit about Peter and his experience with some of these fun times. Definitely, I hope to get some pictures of this coffee cup collection so that we can show our people.
Yes.
And maybe next time we have you on, you have to bring in some of your favorites and we'll talk about it. But until then, we thank you for coming on, brother. We look forward to another opportunity to get to talk to you here soon. But this has been Coffee with Vern. Come back next week as we have our final interview of his staff, and then we get into our Puritan series here soon. But until then, Shabbat Shalom, go in peace.